Law school life is challenging and stressful. Good thing you're not alone. Hi everyone, welcome back to this podcast, and I'm your host, Tina. I am the founder and content creator behind Totally Legal, and I'm here to help future lawyers like you and myself prepare for and navigate their law school journey ahead. Hi there, my fellow aspiring lawyers. For today, I'm going to tackle something that's really close to my heart because I've done this for the most part of my law school years or my law school life, and it's all about being a working law student. So, I get a lot of questions through the website totallylegal.com or from Facebook groups, or even some random messages from friends or strangers asking me if it's really possible to work while studying full-time in law school. So I hope in this episode I'll be able to give you a thing or two that will help you to decide if in case this is something that you're really thinking about at the moment. I will be giving you several factors to consider so you would know if this lifestyle, being a working law student, is really for you. So like I said earlier, for sure, most of you or some of you here who are planning to go to law school are asking right at this very moment, can I really study law while working? Well, don't worry. This is neither a lame nor a weird question. And to tell you honestly, I also asked myself this same question when I was still in my freshman years. And yes, I am a working student, so I think I get to have a take on this topic, right? So here's my answer to that question. I would say that yes. Of course, you can study law while working, but only if you're committed enough to achieve your dream of becoming a lawyer by hook or by crook. Because later in this episode, you're going to learn that being a working law student will never be as easy as, others are saying about it. Well, at least for me, because I kind of struggled throughout my journey, specifically during the beginning. But later, I will be giving you a glimpse of that life. But first, I have to remind everyone that while it's possible to work full-time while studying law, it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. And at this juncture, I'm telling you, it's not going to be a walk in the park. This is because being a working law student entails a lot of sacrifice and a great deal of discipline for one to succeed. However, if you have the willpower to succeed, for sure you'll get by and find ways to deal both with your job and law school. And in determining your ability to juggle that job of yours and reaching your aspiration of becoming a lawyer, here are some of the things or factors that I suggest you have to contemplate on as early as now. Because these were the same things that I have to think through when I was in the same position as you are right now, when I was still in the process of deciding on whether or not to get into this kind of life. So first of all, you have to assess your situation, specifically your financial situation. And ask yourself, do you really have to work in the first place? Like for me, just to give you a short story, I had to be a working law student because my parents' annual income that time when I started studying law was not really enough to cover everything for our family or our family's expenses. And also, that time, my youngest brother was about to go to college. I had to give way for him so my parents can focus on, coursing through all the funds for his studies and all his needs. And since my parents, being the public school teachers that they are, who we know aren't paid that much in this country, we had to make do of whatever we had. So what am I trying to say here? If you're anything like me, then by all means, be a working law student because it's your only ticket to start and finish law school. And we all know that if you haven't started or finished law school, then you wouldn't be able or eligible to take the bar exam, right? Because it's like a minimum requirement. You have to finish your Juris Doctor degree. On the other hand, if you think and if you see that your parents have more than enough to send you to law school, or if you have full scholarship at hand, then I suggest you try being a full-time law student because it will give you more time, more leeway to study. Now, you might ask, what if I just want a money of my own, but my parents can send me to law school? Well, if that's the case, it's totally fine because, like I said, you really have to assess your situation, particularly your financial situation or circumstances, to really check or to really know if working while studying law is really for you. If you really want to have your own money while studying law, then fine, by all means, work while you study law. So you really have to assess your situation. That's what I'm trying to say here. Next thing that you have to ask yourself, do you have the motivation and determination to become a lawyer no matter what happens? Do you want to know if what makes a person fit to be a working law student? Well, I've always believed that you'll make the cut if you can marry your aspiration with persistence and commitment. And when I say persistence and commitment, like no amount of challenge or disappointment or no person can ever dampen your spirit. Not your demanding 96 job, not even your detractors, your overbearing boss or coworkers. No one or nothing. I can definitely say this because I experienced this myself. Back then, my job in the government and security sector had given me all the reason to either give it up or drop out from law school. However, whenever I thought about it, my lifelong dream of becoming a lawyer have always prevailed, and so I always knew what to do. Continue, just continue. So if you want to work while studying law, you have to have that kind of resolute. You have to be that determined or even more. Now, the next thing that you have to check as well would be, how well do you respond to delays or hardships? Should you choose to work while studying law, you should accept the reality that things will not go the way you'd like them to be. And this is something I've learned throughout my years as a working law student. I've stuck around in law school longer than I expected. Some of you might know that, specifically my family and friends. I've been deloading these past few school years because of the high level of stress and fast-paced environment at work. That's why I'm going about my law school journey at a slower pace than others. So, you kind of know how it is. Fewer subjects, delayed graduation. In addition, I had demanding jobs and overbearing coworkers back then, both of which compounded the stress I got from the job itself. And, consequently, taking fewer law school subjects was like the most practicable situation back then. I would always say I'd rather take things slow than graduate on time without learning the law like I should have. So how did I deal with this frustration I had due to such delay and hardships in the last 5 years or so? Well, instead of despising or getting mad at my situation or getting envious of my other full-time law student batchmates who are now lawyers, by the way, I choose to focus on my progress. Because after all, studying law was never and will never be a competition, as it is a journey that is peculiar to you, peculiar to every student, meaning my experience will always be different from yours and vice versa. Because we are situated differently, we have different circumstances in life. So with these in mind, how do you think will you cope with such situation? So this is something that you have to think over as well. Are you willing to experience that, delay, hardships? Because, like I said, it's never going to be easy. So you really have to check on that. Next is about career advancement. Is career advancement a big deal for you? Because if it is, you might want to consider your thought of becoming a working law student. Balancing work with law school can be as difficult as building a career while raising a family. I'm not saying one of these things has to suffer. However, choosing one over the other will surely leave you compromising the other at some point. You pretty much get the point, right? So it's like that. So back then, I had to turn down promotions or offers with flashy titles, yet with bigger responsibilities. Because law school for me was non negotiable. It will never be negotiable. I'd rather stay in the rank and file for a while and reap the fruits of my labor after I pass the bar exam and become a full fledged lawyer. I'm not saying you should do what I did. Surely your circumstances might be different from mine. Maybe you are at a good leverage to enter a door towards career growth while in law school. You'll never know. So please take this advice from me on this aspect with a grain of salt, okay? But what I'm saying here is, are you willing to remain committed to your dream of becoming a lawyer no matter what? Can you deal with delayed gratification in relation to your career? Because if you can, then I think you'll do just fine working while studying law. So another factor that you also have to consider is your willingness to sacrifice certain aspects of your life. Are you willing to sacrifice some areas of your life? Okay? A lot of people are saying, oh, you just have to balance things, you just have to be organized, avoid procrastination, you just have to focus. But the reality is, and I'm talking as a working law student myself, hindi naman talaga nangyayari yon. There are things, or there are times na talagang may konting kailangan kang isang tabi. There will be areas of your life which you'll give more focus on, leaving others with, less time to cultivate. I don't know, sa iba. Pero kasi ganun yung nangyayari sa akin. And even if I ask my friends, or even if you ask my friends, ganun din yung nangyayari sa kanila. So, here's the thing. Can you imagine yourself skipping a family reunion or even your own birthday? Nangyari sa akin yan. Even your own birthday celebration because you have to study for a big recitation or take an exam. Will you be able to give up your nightlife or clubbing with your friends if that was your previous lifestyle because you have to study for a recitation or cold call the next day? Do you see yourself working on your case digests even on a holiday or free cut, even if your professors haven't asked you to? I'm actually crossing my fingers right now that your answers to these questions is yes. Bakit? It's because you'll have to give up some of the things you're used to doing to pave way for your classes and countless all-nighters. Your social life and even your love life, although I will have a separate podcast episode on that, generally your social life or your love life will have to take the back seat for a while. So you also have to look into this. Are you willing to, sacrifice bits and pieces of these areas of your life? So that's something to think about. Another is, what's your time management skill like? Are you disciplined enough to use your time wisely and productively? Can you commit to focus just on studying and doing other law school related tasks outside work? You'll be spending almost half of your entire day getting your 9 to 6 or 8 to 5 job done. Kasi nga nag-work ka eh. Talagang, paano ko ba sasabihin? At this point in time, as you contemplate through these things that I'm telling you, you have to imagine that you're going to take out 8 to 10 hours of your time from your 24-hour day. itabi mo na yun. Kasi talagang kung mag-work ka, mapupunta sa work yun, no matter what happens. And you wouldn't want to shortchange your company, or like sa case ko, I've worked with the government. Lalong ayoko ma-shortchange kasi public servant ako, 'di ba? So you got to have good time management skills or even organization skills to pull you through. And with limited time to study for your daily class recitations and exams, you can't afford to procrastinate or waste even a minute of your time. So you really have to check on this. If you suck, sorry, if you suck on time management, then I think this is something that you really have to prioritize developing as early as now. And I actually have a podcast episode on that, so I suggest you check that out. Just browse through my podcast profile on your Spotify or whatever platform you're listening this into para marinig nyo rin yung insights ko doon. Okay? So, apart from time management, ang dami mong kailangang i-consider sa buhay mo before you become a working law student. Because like I said earlier, it's a lifestyle. This will be your life in the next 4 to 5, 7, or even 10 years kung talagang for some uncontrollable reasons madedelay ka, which you have to be ready for. So, you really have to think about this. Para siyang, alam mo yun, kind of like pag-aasawa, pero medyo mas temporary lang. Yeah. So, the next thing that you really have to think about is, do you have good stress management skills? When you're a working law student, you must really be ready and determined to defy all odds. And one of which is striking a balance between your law school life and work and career. And when you do that, it's never a walk in the park. It entails a lot of hard work. And it will really take a toll on you emotionally, cognitively, and even on your physical health. So as early as now, you have to assess yourself for the following. So number 1, what are your common stressors? Ano yung nagpapastress sa'yo? Yung nagbibigay sa'yo ng alta presyon? What is your common stress response, if any? So how do you deal with these stressors? How do you adapt to this, stressful environment? Is your stress response healthy? What physical, emotional, or psychological effects does stress give you? There are people kasi na parang Superman, hindi talaga sila tinatabla ng stress. But what if you're the type of person who bogs down after a stressful situation? So you really have to check on that. And finally, do you think you need help from medical and allied health professionals to address stress? Stress and its effects on oneself is something no one should shrug off. Kaya kailangan mong itanong to sa sarili mo kasi hindi to dapat ipagwalang bahala. I've seen a lot of law students bog down, collapse, and stop their law studies for good due to sickness they got from law school-related stress. And even at some point of my life, nangyari sa akin yun because my adaptation back then was not really that healthy. I was so stressed. Tapos binanatan ko pa ng energy drink. Tapos uminom pa ako ng kapeng barako. So, I'm just thankful na walang nangyari sa akin. Nagpalpitate lang ako. Tapos, biglang nag-text yung bidal namin. Ate Tina, canceled yung class. O, diba? Saya-saya. So, stress management is something you should be preparing for as early as now. Another one, can you survive with only 3 to 4 hours of sleep every day? And I'm not even exaggerating here. You may verify from my other fellow working law students that 3 to 4 hours of sleep is actually a norm in our community, or even lesser. Actually, kahit hindi naman working student, kahit full-time student, ganito ang tulog. You'll hear full-time law students complaining about sleep deprivation due to law school. If they experience this, you're more likely to be always sleep deprived. So, kung na-experience siya ng mga full-time law student, with more reason that you'll experience this because you're juggling so much. You have so much on your plate. So, at this point, you might want to consider working with your healthcare provider. I really suggest you do this. This way, you can somehow alleviate the effects of sleep deprivation. I'm not saying that this is a foolproof solution, but it's something that I think you should consider in order to somehow lessen the effects of sleep deprivation on your physical health. Kasi iba talaga kapag kulang ka sa tulog. And law students are like that. It's a lifestyle. Sleep deprivation becomes a lifestyle in the next 4 years or so if you are a law student. Much more if you're a working law student. Apart from that, you may also want to make lifestyle changes to make your body more healthy and be better equipped to respond to sleep deprivation in law school. Like, consider taking your vitamins, make healthier choices, drink lots of water, exercise, meditate. Do whatever you could to make your body and mind stronger and more resilient. Okay, so madami ba? Na-overload ba tayo? Anyways, if you're listening to Spotify or through any podcast platform, you can always play back what I said to help you contemplate on these things. So, if you believe you can manage all the foregoing issues or concerns I raised here, then congratulations. You're more likely to thrive in law school as a working law student. Please know that I didn't raise the questions or concerns to overwhelm or stress you out or to scare you. I just want you to be ready for what lies ahead. This is the essence of and importance of having adequate law school preparation. I'm trying to help you prepare for law school here. So I hope you understand that I'm giving you these realistic scenarios. I want to orient you to what is really happening in the world of a working law student. And I know it's difficult to decide on being a working law student because there are so many things at stake, and I totally get that. Alam ko mahirap, been there and done that. But for all it's worth, I'd say always remember that you're stronger, bolder, and more resilient than you think you are. And also, mahirap lang siya sa simula. Like I said, it's a lifestyle. It becomes a lifestyle. You get to adjust to it for like a couple of months or so. And then hindi mo mamamalayan, you'll never notice na as you go through your law school journey na, ay, nahihirapan ako dati pero ngayon parang okay na. Because that's exactly what happened to me. Hirap na hirap pa talaga ako nung first time ko. But eventually, it became part of my life. It became part of my everyday. So, yeah. Ganun lang. Sanayan lang, in short. You can do it, and I believe in you. So, there you have it. These are the factors or things that I really contemplated on a few years back when I was still at that point in my life deciding about becoming a working student in law school. So, I hope I was able to help you by asking you these questions because I know this will help you arrive at a decision. And, at the end of the day naman kasi, if you really want to become a lawyer, like I do, it's my lifelong dream. And if it's your lifelong dream too, I'm pretty confident that you're gonna get through. You're gonna get by whatever is thrown at you. Kung maging working student ka man or working ka until you take the bar exam, I think you will become a lawyer because you have the motivation, you have the drive, you have the dedication and commitment to achieve that dream. And if you have that, huwag mong pakakawalan. Ilaban mo lang siya. Nakakapagod lang. It's going to drain you at some point, but I know I haven't achieved my goal yet, but I know I've seen people testify. They're a living testimony that you'll reap the fruits of your labor. So if you like this episode and if you want to know more law school tips, please consider following me here on Spotify or on whatever podcast platform that you're listening into. And please consider visiting my website, www.totallylegal.com, because I also post a lot of law school tips, hacks, and inspiration there. And you can also just find me on Facebook. I'm also in Pinterest and also on Instagram. So, yeah, I'll talk to you soon.